Right. So I think I'm not going to cover. I think Mahesh and but a little bit. I'll touch upon. It's more on the. I lead the pre-sales and the pursuit support to EY's American MENA service line office. I lead a 25-member team from Philippines and India locations. And I was previously, as Mahesh was pointing out, with Capgemini, Brickwork India, and IBS. I was also the secretary of the students' body hope in while I was in my first year. Right. Uh, so what are we going to cover today? You must have heard from other expert speakers over these days about the real impact of COVID, and we also heard from Peter sir and Veni ma'am, and Sajeev sir was also talking about a little bit of the how the impact on business and things like that. So I'm not going to touch too much in detail. I'm only going to give you a very brief in terms of the context which I'm going to cover today. We'll also cover, the topic for today, which is the impact of COVID on teaming and collaboration. How the teams, how it has affected the collaboration or teaming in organizations. So, from my perspective of managing a multi-country team of 25 plus team members, I'll also touch upon a little bit about my experiences which I've had. After this COVID work from home scenario started. And finally, I'll also touch upon a little bit of the challenges which we were facing. And as I said, EY is a bit of how EY had been trying to manage, encourage the teaming, and what are the best practices that we have been following. And finally, I'll also open the floor to questions. And I may not know all the answers, but I'll try to answer to the best of my knowledge. And I think there are also a lot of experienced panelists here who can also pitch in. Right. So I'm sure a lot of you know about this, or you may have heard about it or read about it. Black Swan event. So it's what is a black swan event? It's an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation and has potentially severe consequences. So it's characterized by extreme rarity, severe impact, and obvious in hindsight. So the event is usually a surprise to the observer, and it has a major effect. And after it happens, we go back and rationalize it in hindsight, and we will say that it could have been expected. But those type of events are what is called black swan events. So how did a little bit of a history on how this term came into being. So Europeans first thought that there were only white swans in the world until in 1697, Dutch explorers led by William D. Vlaming, he became, these were some of the European explorers who actually saw a black swan in Western Australia. So then they realized that, okay, black swans are also a possibility. So, which is a very rare, and, they considered it to be an impossible possibility. But now that they saw that, they came to the realization that a black swan exists in the world. So that's how the term came to being started using for very rare unexpected events. So that is why we call any rare or unexpected event as a black swan event. So this was popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb in his 2001 book, Fooled by Randomness. So he gives the rise of internet, personal computer, World War One, dissolution of Soviet Union, September 11 attacks. So all these, as examples of black swan event. Now, is COVID a black swan or a white swan event? Right? It actually is a white swan event, according to Nassim. So since it was expected, with great uncertainty, a great certainty that a global pandemic would eventually take place. We may have seen, after COVID, the entire COVID, thing got out of hand. We have all been shared from YouTube, linked by our friends, the video where Bill Gates was talking about the coming global pandemic a year back. So that's the rationalization was Nassim was saying that it's not a black swan event, it is a white swan event. But definitely the event has had a major effect, just like a black swan event, on global economy and the lives. So impact on lives of people across the globe needs no explanation. Every one of us had to go through these effects of this pandemic. Around 1.7 billion students experienced school closures last year, and schools are still not back to the normal. Travel, which was the lifeline of a global economy, came to a standstill, with commercial flights dropping by around 42%, which is almost half last year, and still not back to normal levels. Now, if you look at the global economy, it shrank by around 4.3 percentage. All major economies shrank except China, because they were able to arrest that spread of COVID at the initial start itself. If you look at the job loss, 114 million people lost their jobs, especially women and youth. And if you remember, Peter sir was talking about his in the initial his speech he gave about touched upon some of the impact of job losses that was happening. And over the horizon, World Bank is also saying that these deep recessions may slowly affect because of lower investment, erosion of human capital, and fragmentation of this global trade and supply chain. But we'll continue to be positive and optimistic, as Sajeev sir was pointing out. Um, as COVID spread through February 2020 last year to March, all the organizations scrambled to keep a business and employees going, and to arrest that spread of COVID. So with no respite or no relief in sight, organizations started adopting the work from home policies, or we call in short WFH. So even though this was an alien sort of a work practice to a lot of industries and sectors, especially manufacturing, work from home has been a practice mostly in IT and IT enabled services sectors. If you look at our firm EY had been following a 3-day work from home policy, where we could take opt for 3 days in a day, and this would work like a rotation. All the team members could we need to have a specific occupancy in the office, but then we could rotate the team members with the work from home policy. So it was also meant to make efficient use of office real estate. um, but this helped a little bit in terms of when we completely moved to the work from home after COVID struck. But that doesn't mean that we didn't have any challenges when the work from home a COVID scenario started. Now, let me just go to and cover a little bit of some of the challenges that that's actually an impediment to teaming or collaborating as a team. If you look at one of the main areas is lack of interaction, physical interaction, leading to less creative work. So this is one of the main challenges to collaboration. Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, he was a great proponent of physical interaction. So he believed that meetings and workings, people work together well, and that leads to new creative ideas when you meet people in person and you have that conversation over a coffee or over your desk. And I kind of agree with him also on that. With COVID work from home, team members are a lot of companies face this issue with team members unable to directly engage with the colleagues and leaders, and sometimes they feel disconnected, less creative and less productive. There was a very recent survey, a study by INSEAD Business School, that and they 45% of the respondents, this is almost half, of the survey respondents, said that their team's level of connectedness has actually declined since COVID-19. So a lack of interaction leading to less creative work is one of the challenges that organizations are facing as a challenge. Communication struggles is another challenge that organizations are facing as an impact of COVID. how do you communicate efficiently when you have virtual team members scattered across countries or across offices in India, or even the world? For instance, if you look at our team, EY is in around 180 plus countries, and there's a huge, in every country, if you look at, there are teams working. But if you look at my team, we work from multiple locations: Kochi, Trivandrum, Gurgaon, Manila, and Poland. So connectivity is a very important priority for us, as is for other organizations as well. But all organizations, especially a lot of organizations, especially outside the IT or ITES, may not have prepared their IT infrastructure for an event like COVID. Definitely, people, they would have meetings and things virtually happening, but it would be a very small part. But IT and IT is, like I said, when I was giving the context of EY, we were a little bit more prepared because of the kind of industry we were in, and the luxury that it afforded for us to work like that. um, the communications infrastructure, setting up that was actually a struggle with the companies with global locations, or with the employees getting isolated. The third issue, another issue, is the trust factor between managers and employees. When people are thousands of miles away, or in different locations, or at your home, how do you ensure that all of the jobs are accomplished, and your employees are not they are actually working and not goofing off, or playing video games. So when you're not seen for a lot of time, it's a little difficult. It's a psychological thing also, right? It's a little difficult for people to have trust in that factor. So working in extended virtual environment, which COVID thrust us into, this has been a bit of a challenge, where managers are continuously monitoring the employees, and checking whether they are online, they are working. So that's a challenge that employees also have been facing with the impact of COVID. Now, extending schedules, leading to less work-life balance. So this has now become a rallying cry among the workforce everywhere. You could, there were multiple, articles on New York Times and Wall Street Journal talking about, the eroding work-life balance that is happening in the times of COVID. The lines between the personal and the professional time is also, kind of blurring, and people are now working extended hours. We get up early in the morning, and some work may come in, and you start getting into that work, and the meetings start continuously happening, and then work gets extended. And also, remotely working means battling a new set of distractions. There'll be a child wanting attention at home, a dog barking in the background, and I've experienced these firsthand in even on client calls. But we can't fault that, because that is bound to happen in this COVID time. The another challenge is that the belongingness to the team is actually deteriorating. There is sometimes a lack of commitment, as meetings and workshops are only sort of virtual now. When we go into, we turn off our camera, we we zone out into our own different world sometimes. So that lack of commitment is a little bit of a problem. Consider another particular peculiar case that we are have faced. I have some new hires or team members joining our team, and I haven't seen them physically at all. The interviews happened online. They are getting the laptop delivered to them, and they are joining. From their perspective, think about it. They haven't come to that office, their new office, even in the first place. They haven't met their manager, whom they are going to report and work with physically. They do not. They haven't met the team members physically, whom they are going to interact daily. daily. And for freshers or people coming out of MBA colleges and getting directly into the jobs, this is again a difficult situation to get into. So I know a lot of challenges are there, but I'm just mindful of the time, and I only put a couple of things that I feel we have been experiencing in in my work life. Now, let me move to the how do we at least do the better teaming and collaboration, or how is this happening, and what certain firms are doing. So the first challenge we discussed in the last slide was lack of interaction, leading to less creativity. Organizations are working around this challenge by leveraging a lot of IT tools now. So Sajeev sir touched upon Zoom. We also saw Peter sir talked about a little bit about the IT tools that are getting leveraged nowadays for virtual collaboration and teaming. There was a recent Google, a landmark study that Google did. It was called Project Aristotle. So they found that the single most important driver of team performance was not the skill or the intelligence or the personality of team members, but they said that rather it was the quality of team interactions, and whether the team members felt psychologically safe while they are interacting. So that's a real key point for us to understand, that the quality of interactions has to be really good for the team to really become a high performing team. I'll just take you to a slide, which was a summary from a report from Deloitte. As you can see on the left-hand side, there are different formats where in the virtual world we have to do right. We have to do facilitation. Sometimes we have to do communication with team members or our boss. We have to do presentations or meetings. We have to do project management, move project files here and there. A lot of working on a single document, multiple people are working on a single document. We have to do virtual team building and events. And if you see on the rightmost column where it says illustrative tool, so these are a couple of IT tools that are right now getting leveraged a lot. Sajeev sir was also rightly pointing out how many of us have heard about MS Teams or Mural before the COVID. So, and Zoom, it just exploded, and everybody is using it. Even I attended a family function, a reception from Dubai, and the entire thing was on Zoom, and all the relatives joined, and the entire thing was on Zoom. The times are changing, as Sajeev sir rightly pointed out. It's a digital. We are moving to a digital. We have moved from internet to a digital world. Now, I'll just briefly, quickly cover some of the tools that are used in virtual collaboration. So Skype, you all are aware of it. Microsoft Teams are also with in EY we have a Office 365 subscription, Microsoft Office subscription to all the employees. So because enterprise, so because of that, for us, Microsoft Teams is the effective and cheapest, cost efficient way of communication tool for us. There are features where we could do virtual meetings. There are a lot of other voting and a lot of features which are there for virtual collaboration. Zoom is another popular tool. As they pointed out, which actually zoomed into popularity with this pandemic. And as I mentioned on the challenges slide, even though these are not perfect solutions or substitutes for to in-person interactions, tools such as these, for example, if you look at Mural and Miro, these are advanced IT tools that organizations are now using for brainstorming, creating diagramming and discussions with all these. When you're having a discussion, you want to know the other person's mind. There'll be voting features and things like that. So these tools are really getting adopted in a very accelerated fashion, and companies are now finding that these are helping in virtual team collaboration as well. Now back to our slide. So If you look at the second one, as we saw on the tool slide just now, organizations who did not have these tools with adequate collaboration features, they have bought or subscribed to these now. You can see the increase in Zoom's popularity, Zoom's valuation, all as a result of this. Organizations are also ensuring that the employees has the right infrastructure to avoid connectivity issues. If you recall the challenges like we were talking about, one of the challenge was having the right internet or connectivity issue, infrastructure setup, so that the employees are connected and they are available. Uh, in EY, one thing that we have done is, we have provided all employees with a monthly allowance amount for broadband internet after COVID work from home started. So in this way, we can do a bit of our part in terms of helping the employees ensure that the right IT infrastructure, at least from a base internet access level, is ready, and with their with the office laptops they could connect on it, and there's no impact on the collaboration or teaming. Now, building trust with remote employees. So, we are in a time where people feel more isolated than ever. The more you facilitate strong connections, the better your communication and productivity will be. Managers will have to, trust their employees better, and the trust should also be, returned back. So we need to really ensure that we are available and work is completed on time and deadlines are met, and ensure that organization achieves its goals. At EY, we are trying to do more one-on-one conversations with our team members regularly, so that to understand if everything is fine. That level of communication and checking whether that employee is fine, and building that trust. I think Peter sir also talked about that at the initial start of the session. Now, as I said earlier, organizations are now realizing that even though productivity is very high, right? Everybody's saying that in our company as well as I've read everywhere that work is getting done. It's not that work is not getting done. Everybody is extending the time. The productivity is very high. At least if we are generalizing, after COVID, work from home started. But there's also a downside that organizations are now feeling. People are working more. There's a lot of mental stress. There's extended time on work, leading to burnouts. So how organizations are now handling it is, there are a lot of mandatory policies that are being implemented, that we understood that people are not taking leaves because with COVID, you're not traveling anywhere, right? You're not going for marriages, you're not going for functions, you're not going for any holidays. So people are not using the leaves, and they're working and then getting burned out. So mandatory leaves have to be taken. You need to promote, and there's a lot of bulletins and mailers coming in promoting disengagement from work after office hours. And at EY, I have seen this getting more pronounced these days after COVID. And a talent team, for instance, I've been organizing online yoga sessions for improving mental health and well-being. I think one of the audience, Ritin, asked about how this was affecting employees and the mental stress levels. Organizations are now focusing on that, and there's a lot of focus. Talent teams are focusing a lot on reducing those mental stress that employees are facing due to this less interactions. Now, the final one. So, when we work on a team, we also need that sense of belongingness, right, to a team. Organizations are, if you look at, the earlier, where do we typically in an organization, where do we really, sort of, we are part of the team, all those builds that belongingness in the team. But if you look at, we all hurdle around the water cooler when we are, taking the water for, drinking, and, we occasionally we informally chat, and that all those interactions build that sense of belongingness, right? And that is not happening now. So organizations are now more focusing on virtual water cooler events to foster these informal connects and connect employees as a team. So before I wrap, I'll just quickly show you a couple of things that we actually did last Christmas. So if you see on the left hand side, this is we using Microsoft Teams, video call with all of our team members. There are Manila team members, there are India, Polish team members also. We were doing a virtual Christmas celebrations. So there were Christmas songs, people were singing, games were being played. If you see on the right hand side image, we it's a game. We were trying to using that mural software that I was talking about. We were trying to place the Santa's cap on his head, and Santa's hiding behind somewhere behind the picture. So once everybody places the hats, we remove the curtain to see where we actually place the hats. And we did the same thing for Onam celebration as well. Putting Pookalam using a mural, and it was real fun to have the leadership also joining on these sessions. So what I'm trying to say is these virtual water cooler events are now being used a lot by companies to bring that sort of sense of that belongingness and foster that collaboration and teaming, which was interrupted by COVID. I think interesting times requires interesting approaches, I guess. And that brings to my end of my presentation.